I'm Davy. I'm awesome. Welcome to Davy's Awesome Stories, where I tell funny stories from my past or go on a rant in an effort to make you laugh. So this week, I was thinking about how I've told a couple of stories about Ham Girl. A girl we nicknamed that because she thought we meant smoking ham. And then I went and told more stories about her. But the problem is, she's not the only person I've encountered that seems to have the mental capacity of a brick. For example, I used to have this friend. I mean, I still do. We just don't talk much anymore. Life. But he basically would date literally any girl who would date him. And one time he dated one of the dumbest people I've ever met. Now, I feel a little bit bad saying that because I will say this girl was very sweet. But I really didn't get why he dated her. Because even though she was very sweet, she was very nice, talking to her made me want to shove a spike in my temple. What I really didn't get about it was, whereas the previous one, Ham Girl, she was the epitome of what you see on television. Like that stereotype come to life. Blonde hair, blue-eyed, very attractive woman, about as smart as a fence post. This one, about as smart as a fence post, not drop-dead gorgeous. Don't get me wrong, she was okay. I can understand why somebody would have been attracted to her, but definitely not pretty enough to where I would get why you could ignore the fact that it's like having a conversation with soup. And when I asked my friend about it, he just said, well, I know she's not the brightest. Which was like saying, I know the Grand Canyon can get a little bit deep, but there's just something about her. Can't really explain it. I can, because if he was being honest, he would have said this. She's willing to sleep with me. Which for him, I understand that. Not pretending I was some ladies' man or nothing, but this guy wasn't either. He could talk to women easier than I could, but let me put it this way. His name wasn't Murphy, but that didn't stop us from nicknaming him Bleeding Gums.
Ew.
But that was the difference between him and I. Even though I wasn't great with women, I wasn't willing to take any woman who would just rub up against me a little bit. And to give you a few examples of this girl. One time, him and I were discussing a coworker and something we found funny about him. See, at the time, him and I worked together, and we had this coworker who had a very thick accent. And every time somebody met him, they would ask him the same thing that I had asked him, same thing my friend had asked him, which is simply, so what part of Scotland are you from? And every time his response would be, I'm not Scottish. I'm from Wales. Why does everybody always think I'm from Scotland? I'm Welsh. Because it's just a thing. Those of us in America, most of the time I can tell the difference between a Welsh accent and a Scottish accent. But sometimes when they have a very, very thick accent, to my untrained American ear, it sounds Scottish. In his case, he did. He sounded very Scottish. And as we were talking about this, and kind of laughing about how earlier that day somebody else had asked him and he got angry about it again, his girlfriend chimes in. I understand. Is Wales in Scotland? No, actually, it's not. In the UK, Wales is kind of down here, Scotland's up here. UK? You mean England? Well, yeah, England's in the UK, but UK makes up more than just England. Scotland and Wales are also part of UK. Wales is a country? Yeah, it's its own country near England, so they share a kinship, yeah. They're kind of like the United States. You know, California and Nevada, it's very different places. But no, Wales is where Welsh people come from. Oh, they're the people who make grape juice. People in Wales, please try not to be offended. She does not represent all of America. Most of us know dang well that you don't make grape juice. No, not Welch. Like Welch's grape juice. That was just started by a family with the last name Welch. Welsh people just live near England. Oh, okay. I guess that makes sense. Good. This kind of stuff would hurt my brain. What would anger me is every time this stuff would hurt my brain, I'd look over at my friend and he'd be sitting there because he knew this crap hurt my brain. Because it didn't even stop there that night. As we resume the conversation, she chimes in. Well, it's kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger. What about him? Like, I know he's from Australia, but he sounds German.
What?
He's not from Australia. He's from Austria.
Isn't that short for Australia?
No. It's not short for Australia. It is an entirely different country in Europe, whereas Australia is in Australia. It's a continent and a country, but way far away from each other. Austria is up over here in Europe, and Australia is down here, a big island way away from it. That's why he doesn't sound Australian, because he's not from there.
He still sounds German.
That's because Austria and Germany are not only right next to each other, but they share a lineage. They used to be part of the same empire. Basically, they were the same country at one point. Sort of. I know it technically was never part of the same country, just territory, but I was trying to explain it to a dum-dum. They have shared history. Family. It's not uncommon to have relatives in Germany or Austria. They go back and forth all the time. They're pretty much the same people. They were once part of Germania.
Is that what Germany used to be called?
Sort of. Germania made up way more than Germany. It was made up of what is now Germany, Slovakia, Austria, Poland, and the Czech Republic. It's just not the same country, but they're near each other. But it's not Australia. It's not even close. They don't share a history at all. Most people from Australia were either indigenous to Australia or they were sent there from England.
So why did they name it Australia?
I'm guessing to put me in a situation like this later and torture me. Not gonna lie, I was excited when they broke up. I don't know exactly why, because the only answer he would give me was, she said it wasn't working out. Did you inform her that Care Bears weren't real? But to my annoyance, they stayed friends. Because he'd still hang out with her a lot. And he would tell me the reason for that was,
she's really cool. We get along on a different level.
But I think if he was being honest, what he would have said was,
she tosses me one here and there.
But even the last time I saw her, didn't really make my head explode. Just made me go like, you're a frickin' child. By this point, him and I did not work together anymore. In fact, neither of us worked for that company anymore. But they were hanging out. They came into where I was working. And around that time where I was working, we sold DVDs. Not like that was a big seller or anything. We only had like some. We had a small section. But one of the brand new DVDs that came out, which will tell you how long ago this was Tinker Bell's first solo movie. Which I knew she was going to want to watch because she had mentioned over and over again that Tinker Bell was her favorite Disney princess. I let it go because if they consider Mulan a princess, then sure. But she came in, saw the DVD, and asked,
"Oh, have you seen that yet?"
No, not yet. To this day, I haven't seen it at all. Not because it's girly. I don't care. I like Disney movies, princesses and stuff. I just kind of learned at some point that classic stories, their sequels and spin-offs, suck. Like, Aladdin was awesome. Return of Jafar and King of Thieves, not so much. Cinderella was great. 2 and 3, not so much. Same reason I stopped watching the live-action remakes, because when they make enough of them that are crap, I get the hint and stop watching them.
Duh!
But she, in her excitement, goes on.
You should. It's so good, and it explains so much.
I knew I was going to hate myself for asking this, but like what?
Her name isn't actually Tinkerbell. Her name is Belle. She just likes to fix things. So she's Belle, and she likes to tinker.
That's amazing. So there you have it. That's my story video this week. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit the little bell so you get notifications when I post the videos. And Leave a comment I can respond to in my next comment corner. Give me some stories of some of your friends that had dumb girlfriends. Or boyfriends. They get stupid too. Love you guys.